Hey everyone, Cody here, and today I want to just talk about, actually I'm going to show you the first three paintings I ever did as an abstract artist that really just kind of broke me into it and got me excited about doing abstract art. And then I'm going to talk about just kind of the progression that I've had from that and just talk about how people kind of change over time and how that can be good for kind of experimenting, but also how it can kind of derail progression. So we're going to talk about those few things, and I just realized how much I need to shave, so I apologize for that. I need to shave. Anyway, so let's dive right in. I'm going to show you the first painting I ever did. So this is the first abstract painting that I did, and it's acrylic. So here it is. I call it Duality. Okay, so you can see there's like almost like this shadowy figure right here, and then there's kind of like a red cross in the background. And then you've got these like red and blue kind of slashes on a white background. And then you can see kind of the throne paint here, these little slashes with the throne black and white. So the painting is called Duality because obviously it's very, it's red versus blue, black with the white. And, again, you've got kind of this like shadowy figure thing. But only half of it. So there's just a lot going on. And I thought it was kind of cool to have these opposites kind of playing off of each other. And so that is the first abstract painting I did. I did it with brushes. So everything is with brushes and acrylic paint. Again, I didn't really know much about gloss enamel at the time. I didn't even know really much about Jackson Pollock when I very first started. I just knew that he threw paint. I didn't know it was gloss enamel. So at the time when I first made this, and I made these really broad brush strokes, and then I was kind of throwing the paint, and that is the result. So that is the first painting I ever did. So here's the second one. Now I might do these out of order. I don't remember which of the two I did next, but I believe this one was next. So this is called Redemption. It's very clearly a cross, right? So it's got these three sections. You have this kind of white background on the top, and then this red background in the back, and then a black background on the bottom. And then you kind of have this cross that changes colors part of the way through, which I thought was pretty cool. The very abstract kind of brush strokes with very powerful kind of bold strokes here. And then you can see that, again, I just kind of threw the paint on. A lot of thrown paint. I mean, a lot. Again, it was acrylic, so it's very thick. Obviously, I didn't really understand that acrylic was much thicker than gloss enamel. I didn't, again, even know what gloss enamel was at the time. So threw a lot of the paint on there, so you can kind of see there's just a lot of paint thrown on here. It's very kind of textury. So I guess that's kind of cool. There's like some bumps here where a lot of the paint kind of collected. So yeah, that was Redemption. That is I think the second painting I did. And then the third painting that I did was I don't remember what I called it, to be honest, but here it is. Nope, that's upside down. So it's this right here. So it's kind of this like building on one side with the moon up in the corner right there, right? And the idea would be that you kind of hung it like this or whatever, and you can kind of see like the little skyscraper. It's just white and silver. It's kind of hard to see because the lights or whatever, but yeah, it's just white and silver. And then I threw a little black on there to kind of break it up, right? And then the sky is white and silver, supposed to represent the stars, and or the white is the clouds, silver is stars. That's what it was. And then you've got this moon here and a bunch more thrown paint because I thought throwing paint was fun. Still kind of think it's fun. So yeah, those are the first three paintings that I ever did when I very first got started as an abstract artist. And I just want to talk about those real quick because already from the get-go I was kind of throwing paint, but I was doing this mixture of brushed work, then thrown paint as kind of like just kind of finishing the painting, as opposed to the whole painting being just thrown paint, action painting. So after I had done these, I started researching more about Jackson Pollock, and I watched that movie Pollock, which I love that movie. So it's a great movie, and it really kind of gave me an idea of how he kind of came about it, and then his life. But in researching more about Pollock, that's when I started learning about that he used gloss enamel, not acrylic, that he threw it, using all these different tools, and that, he created these large works by throwing the paint. And I was so fascinated that these paintings weren't about being simple. They were about the action, the movement, and that basically these paintings were a result of free form, right? So it was more freedom over form. And I thought that was so fascinating. And that's when I kind of started getting into making Pollock style paintings. I found a paint place a couple miles from me that makes gloss enamel. So I started buying gloss enamel from them. I started investing in some different tools and buying canvases and stuff like that. And I started throwing the paint, and I really, really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing those Pollock style paintings. So that's actually kind of how I got started in doing the Pollock style painting. I was already throwing the paint, but then when I learned more about Pollock and the technique and stuff like that, that's when I really kind of got into it. Then over time, like as I, was kind of making these Pollock style paintings, I started learning about other techniques and other artists, both living and dead, and just kind of trying different techniques. And I started doing brushworks, and I started using acrylic. And I used acrylic for a lot of my initial paintings when I couldn't afford to buy a lot of gloss enamel. I bought a bunch of acrylic paint because it was like very cheap and very available. So I bought a bunch of acrylic, did a bunch of acrylic paintings at first, and then kind of drifted away from acrylic for a really long time. Only until recently, really, when I started doing videos again, did I kind of go back to acrylic. So drifted away from acrylic, did mostly these, all of these gloss enamel type paintings, which is like what this is and what this is and what that is. That's all gloss enamel. And so over time, I then found out about Gerard Richter. Within about a year of starting my painting and learning about Pollock, I learned about Gerard Richter. Now, Gerard Richter, if you don't know, German artist, he's still living. He's been painting for over 50 years. The guy is like, he's old. He's like 70, 80, I think, and has been painting for like over 50 years. So a very long time, very well renowned, and actually very famous. So I learned about him with scraped paintings. And so that's when I kind of got into the scrape paintings, started doing scrape paintings. That's kind of how I found out about it. And quickly realized that scrape paintings are a lot easier to do with acrylic, but they look cooler with gloss enamel. So it's kind of this dynamic thing. And then over time, I kind of developed my own style, which is the fractal paintings or the dabbed paintings. This is an example of that. It's something I really like because it was something that I just kind of came up with over time with testing different things. And then overall, now I just kind of experiment and mess around because to me, I have my own technique and the way that I make paintings, but it's fun to try other things. And to kind of distill all of this into kind of a message that I would like to share to other artists, especially if you're kind of getting new to, or you're new to art and painting. One, I would say experiment with different styles. You can always experiment with different styles, right? To kind of learn how people do things or just to have fun, I would say to experiment like that. But if it comes down to like selling art, so if you're making art for fun or you just want to try something different, that's fine. Experimenting is fine. But if you're looking to sell art, really what sells is having a distinct style that people can recognize or kind of get familiar with because they associate it with you. So, on the fun side, maybe hobby side or just experimentation, trying other things, a bunch of different styles is great. If you're just doing it to pass the time or learn new things. But if you're doing art to sell and you really want to become like a professional artist or you want to have art to sell that people will recognize, whether you're trying to go the gallery route or just sell online, sell locally, whatever you're trying to do, it's best to develop a style that people will kind of recognize over time. So doing a painting like this, there's not many artists that have paintings that look exactly like that. One, not only because they're dabbed, but two, because it's gloss enamel. Not many most artists do not use gloss enamel. So that's kind of something that I've developed over time that works for me. So that's what I would say is that ultimately your styles will probably change. Your style will probably change quite a few times over the course of, probably years until you get to a point where you're comfortable with a style that fits your personality that you can continuously do over and over and over again to sell. And again, it's not that you can't ever try other things for fun or to learn them, but if you're going to go the route of selling, most people want to see a consistent style so that they can recognize it with you. Now, I do know artists that create different types of paintings. You know, they might do different styles and stuff like that. But generally, there's something in that that's signature to them that people can recognize and say, oh, you know what? I know these two paintings probably look different, but I know it's from them because of the paint that they used or the way that they went about making it. Or, you know, there's just something that that artist does that makes it stand out to make it recognizable to them. So that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to share was my first few paintings, and just kind of a message to aspiring artists on both, you know, hobby and professional, and you know what to expect and what to do if you're trying to kind of branch out. So that's it. I appreciate you watching. I will see you in the next video where we actually paint something, and yeah, that's it. See you guys. Bye.